Portugal the Man here on Georgia Comes Alive. Man, love those guys. So great hearing from them. I'm Ari, and before that, Blind Boys of Alabama, Tank and the Bangas. The hits just keep on coming, though. So much great music ahead. Can't wait for you guys to experience what we have lined up for you into the late night hours. Diplo making an appearance, Big Gigantic later on. Way more as well. And right now, I'm joined by David Weingarden from the Boulder Theater and the Fox Theater in Colorado. Hey, David, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me, Ari.
Of course, I'm glad that you're here. And also Dayna Frank, who's the CEO of First Avenue and the founder of NIVA. Dayna, how are you?
Doing okay, actually. Thanks.
Yeah, some better news to discuss, right?
Yeah,
Very
right?
hopeful moving into the next year ahead. What are your reactions to the current stimulus agreement that includes the music industry? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. It's still kind of getting, being digested and I think it's a good start. It definitely more is needed for especially, for our employees who are unemployed and other small businesses that are shuttered and but as far as, venues and promoters and the Save Our Stages kind of crew, we are just feeling incredibly grateful and breathing a deep sigh of relief.
It's such an incredible accomplishment. I mean, you guys had to pivot to become lobbyists in the span of less than a year. It's no small feat for sure. I want you to walk us through your initial steps to gathering everyone together and getting this movement rolling, if you don't mind, Dana.
Yeah. So let's see. Reverend Moose from Marauder gathered everybody on a town hall. That was a March, kind of before the shutdowns, but right when things were starting to roll out, and just created space for people to come together and create community. And that led to town halls and Zooms, and especially as like everything started shutting down, just a place for everybody to ask questions about PPP. You could tell the time it went from like, hey, what do you, I'll just make something up, but like, what do you do about black X's on your hands, to like, oh, I probably can't swear, can I? Oh
You can say
no.
whatever you want. It's fine. You can swear. It's fine. We're all
uh,
friends. Let it fly.
going to like examining government programs and like, how are you going to survive? I don't know. What are you thinking? And so we realized that we were stronger together, and that, at a time when everybody kind of could have fractured and could have huddled and waited for competitors to go out of business and, tried to be the one standing and picking up market share, there was such a general consensus that like, we're all going to make it, or we're not, or none of us are going to make it. And so let's everybody work as hard as we can for all of us to succeed.
And it was super important that you guys made those steps, because for such a cutthroat industry and a competitive industry and a challenging industry, it's true. It wouldn't have made the impact separately. You guys gathering together and getting your ducks in a row and taking it to Congress and raising this issue is going to eventually save some of our favorite venues all across the country and keep people employed and keep people afloat throughout the next year. And so we can't thank you enough for your efforts. David, what kind of challenges did you guys run into as you went about this process and it got closer and closer to your goals of raising the issue to Congress?
Well, I think Dana can speak a little bit more towards that, as she was on the inside track on the lobbying components. But on the state level, just on the state level, I mean, we've been definitely like trying to get things passed through on a local level for some time. To Just recently, about 2 weeks ago, we were able to lobby the state for $7.5 million worth of funding on a local level, and so that's going to hit over the next couple of weeks as well. And that's also not only going to be for venues, but for artists too. So on a local level, and we're all trying to sort of do this thing where we've just formed the Colorado NIVA chapter. I know Illinois is, and so is Louisiana and a few other ones. So that's going to be our next step, is to really cultivate those relationships on a state level, on a local level, because as Dana said, we're very much interested in making sure that we're floating all boats, and we have a stronger voice altogether. And so, we formed this Colorado NIVA chapter with competitors within our independent space as well. And, we're all working together because we all can see the outcome. And that's been the silver lining through all of this, really.
Yeah, definitely. Dayna, what can you tell me about what it's been like to see some of your other favorite live music communities getting behind this effort and forming those local chapters? That must be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there was a time, everybody could have splintered and could have huddled and waited for people to go out of business, but instead people chose to band together on a national level and on the local level across industry, both within our industry and across industries. And it's, you can sit here, having the bill passed and say like very successfully, this could have been a very different conversation, right? But no, I think everyone is feeling grateful and feeling like they felt the impact of community.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. And if and when this money is allocated, what do you think its impact is going to be? And how is it going to make an impact?
When
And
it's
when is it going to
allocated.
make an impact? Exactly.
That's kind of next. And NIVA's job has just begun, right? It's not like, oh, the bill's passed, great, everybody, go home. I mean, but no, I mean, first and foremost, we hope to work with the SBA and help and make sure or do what we can to get the money into the people that need it, that are, days, maybe a week from closing, and try to help with that process as much as possible, because like I said, venues have been holding on and taking on more debt and just stretched beyond the limits that they would have ever taken on had it not been the hope for this bill. And so, our job now is to try to get that money into the hands of the people that need it most immediately. And then we also, I don't think anyone's quite talked about yet, is the long, arduous, difficult path to reopening. And because we are a national, we're all the local guys and we all function, we're local businesses and we're small businesses, but we all work on a national touring routing, and we all rely on other markets to be open. And so we're hoping to try to get, work with the administration and work with Congress to get some national reopening guidelines so that we can start to plan and start to just be able to look towards the end of 2021 or and be open for our communities when it's safe to do so.
Oh man, it's music to my ears. So happy to hear it. David, what about you on the local level? What do you think your path to reopening is going to look like, at least from where you sit right now?
Well, the Save Our State is money is going to be is a game changer, for all of us. We've incurred massive losses in 2020, and we're behind on everything. In fact, we were pretty conservative with how we dealt with our cash flow and whatnot throughout the years, but this was something that nobody could ever have imagined. That we're in December and still in this spot. And so, as we're sort of looking at the end of our cash flow coming up, I think we're looking at probably February before the cash starts really running out completely. Is that this grant? It's going to be a grant for 45% of the 2019 gross revenue, which would certainly help with mortgages and rent and payroll costs and utilities and PPE and all of that stuff. So it's a real game changer, and we are definitely waiting, with fingers crossed that this is going to be doled out as quickly as possible, because I know that we're not in the same place as some people, and there's been a lot of venues that have gone under already, but as soon as they can get it out, the better.
Yeah, I really hope that all those efforts can be coordinated and people can take the example that you both have set in gathering the local communities, organizing, and creating a plan and a path forward to get people in venues and seeing shows sooner rather than later. It's an awesome example that you're setting, and I hope that everyone's paying attention and continues to, in the mental health industry and just health guidelines, getting people safely back into venues. There's a lot of different spokes to this wheel, and it's going to take an intense amount of coordination on a lot of different people's parts, and we appreciate you guys setting a great example. Dayna, before I let you go, do you have any all-time desert island favorite artists from the state of Georgia?
Oh my God, Outcast, right?
Nice.
State of Georgia, putting limit. Hold on, David, you go first.
I asked for one and you gave me Outcast, so that's great. If you think of another one while David goes, by all means, throw a couple out there.
Well, besides, as far as like my all-time favorite band is probably the Dead, but my second tier for like going through the years was Aquarium Rescue Unit, Colonel Bruce Hampton. So like those were my guys that I would always travel for and whatnot. So they have a special place in my heart. But you know, you have to go. I mean, there's so many in there, and I think that whether it's Ray Charles or James Brown, I'd say that those guys are the top tier right there.
For sure. Dayna, before we let you go, you want to throw any others on the board, or are we just sticking with Outkast? Because that's great too.
That is.
I'm sticking with what David said. That sounded way better, more eloquent than anything I could say.
Well, I love to hear Colonel Bruce mentioned in any capacity, and in this one especially so. Dayna Frank, David Weingarden, thank you guys so much for joining us here on Georgia Comes Alive. I appreciate it. It's great to see you guys, and congratulations. Our fingers are crossed that we're carving a path forward, and you guys are leading the way to getting us back in venues and seeing live music sometime soon. Speaking of live music, by the way, we've got a whole bunch more ahead of us. We're going to be hearing from the Foo Fighters, Preservation Hall Jazz Band, the Soul Rebels, Jackie Venson, and right now it's Nathaniel Rateliff here on Georgia Comes Alive.